Hi everyone, so today we are going to continue with solving quadratics by using the square root. Let's start off with a review of solving by factoring. You're not going to be able to use the square root here. So pause the video and do these two on your own. So first, I'm going to subtract the 18x and the 140 to get 0. Now you could move the 2x squared also, but I like doing it this way. So we get 0 equals 2x squared minus 18x minus 140. Now, is this a slide? It's not. We can divide by 2. If we divide by 2, I'm going to go underneath the meme. I get x squared minus 9x minus 70. And then what kind of factoring is that? That is a multiply combine. Not necessarily an obvious one, because a lot of us don't know factors of 70. So 70 is 5 times 14. So positive 5 minus 14 equals 0. We set everything equal to 0. So I'm going to do 2 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. And x minus 14 equals 0. Can 2 equal 0 though? No. So whenever there's a constant out, you can just ignore it. So minus 5 on both sides. And plus 14 on both sides. So I get x equals negative 5 and x equals positive 14. And those are my answers. Done. All right, number 2, again, we have to get 0 on one side. I'm going to move everything to the left. Minus x squared minus 5x minus 5x. So we get 0 equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. Can I divide by 2 again? I can't. This is a slide. 2x. What multiplies to negative 10 combines to 3? Well, it's just 5 and 2. Negative 2. So minus 2 plus 5. Divide by the GCF. X minus 1 and 2x plus 5. Add 1 to both sides. Minus 5. 2x equals negative 5. Divide by 2. Negative 5 over 2. It's about as hard as it gets, number 2. Okay, so now let's practice these. These are solving with a square root. So remember, our first step, we want to get whatever is being squared by itself. So something squared needs to be alone. So to do that in this first one, what are we going to do? I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Now my parentheses squared equals 25. Once our parentheses squared is alone, we're going to do the inverse of squaring something. What's the opposite of squaring a number? We square root it. So we get x plus 9 equals the square root of 25 is 5. But what do we have to put in front of it? Plus and minus. So then we subtract 9 on both sides. But remember that minus 9 has to go in front. Negative 9 plus or minus 5. So then we're going to figure out our two final answers. So remember, we look at the top. So that negative 9 plus 5. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. And then we do the bottom, the minus. Negative 9 minus 5 gives me negative 14. So those are the two answers. All right, number 2. Try it on your own. This one's a little harder. If we minus 2 on both sides to get our square by itself, x minus 3, square root on both sides. But now, what's the square root of 8? Plus or minus root 8. And then you have to ask yourself, can we simplify the square root of 8? Is there a perfect square that goes into 8? There is. What perfect square goes into 8? Root 8 is 4 times 2. The square root of 4 is 2, so 2 root 2. Got that plus and minus in front. And then the last step to get x by itself, we add 3. And we just always put that number in front. 3 plus or minus 2 root 2. And we are finished. All right. Pause the video and start by isolating the parentheses squared. So if this was 2a plus 15 equals 175, imagine that parentheses squared is your variable a. What would you do first? Well, we always subtract first. So I'm going to minus 15 to x minus 1 squared equals 160. After we subtract, we divide by 2. X minus 1 squared equals 80. Now it's similar to the one we just did. Pause the video if you didn't finish it and finish it on your own. Square root of both sides. X minus 1 equals plus or minus root 80. And then we have to ask ourselves, can I simplify root 80? Well, it's definitely, is it 4 and 20? There's actually a bigger perfect square that goes in 80. It's 5 times 16. 16 is the biggest perfect square. So I'm going to rewrite this as root 16 root 5. If you put the perfect square first, it's just a little easier. So plus or minus 4 root 5 equals our x minus 1. Add 1 to both sides. We get 1 plus or minus 4 root 5. Done. All right. Pause the video and try number 4. All right, so now this one's a little tricky because I kind of put it backwards. If we had 5 minus 3x equals 142, what would you do first? We subtract our 5. So we're going to minus 5 on both sides. Negative 3 x minus 3 squared equals negative 147. Divide by negative 3. X minus 3 squared equals, what is that? 49. Ooh, it's a perfect square. Take the square root of both sides. X minus 3 equals 7. Not 7, what is it? Plus or minus 7. Add 3. Remember, it's not plus or minus 10. X equals 3 plus or minus 7. So what are our two answers? 3 plus 7 is 10. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Don't forget you have to do the top 3 plus 7 and then 3 minus 7. We're going to do those two separately. All right, try these two. Pause the video. These aren't that very hard. All right, so we're going to get now notice there's no parentheses. So this time we're just going to get x squared by itself. Divide by 121. X squared equals 100 divided by 121. Now, we're not a big fan of fractions, but this isn't so terrible. Because if we take the square root of both sides, plus or minus, what's the square root of 100? 10. What's the square root of 121? 11. And we're done. That's it. We're not going to do anything. Leave it as a fraction. We're good. We're happy. We're done. I don't like that, how I wrote that 11. Okay. So try the next one on your own. Minus 17. Again, we're trying to isolate our x squared. Divide by negative 9. X squared equals 3. To get rid of the square, we take the square root. X equals plus or minus root 3. Can we simplify? We can't. We're done. These are almost easier, the ones that aren't perfect squares, because a lot of the time you just like, okay, whatever, I'm done. Can't do anything else. All right, these are the very last two, and we are done. This is a quick lesson today. So pause it and try this one on your own. So I'm going to subtract 10. Always do your adding and subtracting first. 160. Divide by 4. 2x minus 1 squared equals 40. Square root of both sides. Now this one's a little different. We haven't done one like this. We have, because there's a number in front of the x, so we have 2x minus 1 equals plus or minus root 40. Now, how do you rewrite plus or minus root 40? So 40 is 4 times 10. Root 4 times root 10 is 2 root 10. So 2x minus 1 equals plus or minus 2 root 10. We're going to add our 1 to both sides. 2x equals 1 plus or minus 2 root 10. Now we have one last step. We have to divide by 2. So that whole thing gets divided by 2. So our answer is 1 plus or minus 2 root 10 all over 2. And we are finished. It's a weird looking answer, huh? But it's right, and that's all that matters. Okay, what do we do here? All right, so a lot of times we like to get 0. We need to move everything together. So let's move everything together. So I'm going to subtract 17. I'm going to add 5x squared. And I'm going to add 3x. So on this right side, everything cancels, and we're just left with 0. On the left side, my 3x is canceled, negative 3x plus 3x. But here I get 16x squared minus 16 equals 0. Now we're going to solve. How do I solve that? Add 16 to both sides. Divide. So x squared equals 1. How do you solve x squared equals 1? Square root. X equals 1? Nope, don't forget. What do we not want to forget? Plus or minus root 1. And that's it, we're done. All right, so I have some classwork for you probably, and then the worksheet. All right, that's it. Have a fabulous day.